What's going on, guys? Welcome back to yet another ProGuides video geared towards helping you maximize and achieve your potential in CSGO, and to get up a few rungs on the ranking ladder. Today, we've got a pretty simple one for you, but that doesn't for 1 second mean that it won't be just as helpful for you as our more in-depth videos. In this one, we're just going to be taking a quick look at the 8 things that you do wrong. Now, the mistakes you make will of course be specific towards you as an individual player, so if 1 or 2 of these don't apply to you, great job. However, stick around to the end and I'm sure people of any skill level could learn a thing or two from identifying one of any of these 8 quick mistakes that can be easily fixed. But as always, before we crack on with the video, it's time for our question of the day. Today, we're taking a look in the history books and trawling through some of our memories, because the question of the day is, when did you start playing CS? Are you a recent addition to the community, or have you been playing ever since the Counter-Strike 1.6 days? I've only been playing for a few years myself, but I'd love to hear about all you people's playtimes, so make sure to let us know in the comments down below. Now onto the video itself, and the first common mistake we've got is not communicating properly. If you take a look at the Steam tags for CSGO, one of them is the team-based tag, and in all of the game's updates, it hasn't strayed from this even one bit. At its core, it remains a team game, and that means communicating properly with your team is a must. However, it still remains as something a lot of people just don't do correctly, or even at all. If you're one of the people who doesn't communicate at all, come on guys. It's 2020, a pair of earphones with a decent quality mic costs less than $10. But for most people, the communication issue is more about how to do it properly. For this, it comes down to really 2 things. Firstly, the right amount of communication. Make sure you give enough info to your team about everything, from enemy positions to whether or not you think you should buy in the coming round. But just make sure you don't talk too much. No one likes a backseat gamer. This especially comes into play when you die. Give info on where and how you died, and then just try to stay off voice comms. Type if you have to, and if it's really necessary to use voice comms, just make sure that you don't use it too much. And secondly, we've got to be clear and concise with your communication. Speak loudly into your mic and clearly articulate what you are trying to say. If you are communicating about enemies, make sure you say 4 things. How many, where, what they are doing, and are they tagged? This is all you need to give your team for them to be able to make an educated stab at what they should do next. Don't tell them what to do. Let them play for themselves with the knowledge that you've gained for the team. Up for number 2 out of the 8 things that you do wrong, we've got being indecisive. Being indecisive is one of the main causes of not making good decisions in game, and especially comes into play when it comes to clutches and close situations. It also ties in heavily with confidence in game. I'll paint a picture for you quickly. You're dead and are spectating a teammate in a 1v1. They plant the bomb and then can't decide where to play. They end up taking so long to decide upon and get to a good post-plant position that they actually just end up getting caught out of cover and lose the round. Now, think about what a pro player would do in this situation. They find a spot and that's where they play from. They might not have had the time to get to their best spot, or maybe they just didn't think of it. But either way, they chose their spot quickly and decisively and then play it with confidence. This is a concept you need to apply to your game and not just in the situation we went over. Half the time, you most likely won't be making the perfect choice on what to do in any given situation, but making a worse choice with lots of confidence is always better than not really making a choice in the first place. Chances are you'll get caught out of cover or with a nade out, whereas just committing to an idea as soon as you get it will often catch your opponents off guard. Furthermore, after experimenting with different decisions, you'll quickly notice your actual decision making itself improving. With enough time playing decisively, you'll feel just like Zipnix himself. Joining this list in the 3rd place is a much more mechanical mistake that a large portion of you undoubtedly make all the time, and that's keeping your crosshair at head level. Now, whilst there might have been a bit of discourse surrounding this issue regarding to how the Astralis player aim, until you join a team like that, it's always best to have your crosshair at head height. This applies to every single second of every single round. Even if there are no enemies left and you're just going to defuse the bomb, try to enforce the habit of having your crosshair at head height constantly. At first, you'll more than likely have to consciously remind yourself to raise your mouse whenever you see your crosshair falling down the screen. However, after a while of constantly reinforcing this habit, it will become ingrained into you to aim at head level. Keeping your crosshair at head level pretty much just means that you'll be able to kill anybody who you see much quicker, as you don't need to aim up to get to them. A great way you can practice this is to go into aimbots. Just make sure you have the bots spawning all around you, as this way you'll have to practice keeping your crosshair at a fixed level, and that's the heads level. If you're ready to take your practice to the next level, make sure to use pre-fire maps. These are phenomenal in helping you learn how to stay at head level, and it's very close to killing real enemies. Just keep on practicing and keep on reminding yourself to keep it at head level, and you'll start to see your headshot percentage shoot up in no time. Onto an idea that goes practically hand in hand with keeping your crosshair at head level, and that's making sure that you aim a good distance away from the corner of any angle that you're holding. Every CSGO player, myself included, wishes that they had the reaction time as fast as someone like Kenny S. But sadly, very few of us will ever be able to match him. Therefore, whenever you're holding an angle waiting for a peek, make sure you aren't aiming too close to the corner itself. This is due to the simple fact that there's a good chance you might not be able to react fast enough to get the frag. Furthermore, if you're aiming further away and they don't peek right into your crosshair, it's easier to adjust than if they peek past your crosshair because you aim too close. Let me explain that quickly. If someone peeks you and you stop before they're directly in your crosshair, chances are you only have to adjust a few centimeters to either side. On the other hand, if someone peeks your angle and goes past your crosshair adjustment will be anywhere from a few pixels to half your screen. It's like the common saying, better the devil you know than the devil you don't. You know that it's at most a small adjustment if you aim at a suitable distance, but if you aim too close, you have no idea how much you'll have to adjust by. Of course, you can always just try to train and improve your reaction times. The best way to do this is to just Google some reaction tests. There's hundreds online, and find the one that suits you and do it a few times each day, and soon enough you'll undoubtedly see some improvements. At number 5, we've got a very well-known mistake, and it's solo queuing. Queuing with just one friend will make the game infinitely easier and also more fun, as one of the elements of randomness will be eliminated. No longer will you have to deal with 4 angry screaming Russians, now it'll only be 3. All jokes aside, queuing with any amount of pre-made friends from 1 all the way to a full 5-man is incredibly helpful. Solo queuing up the ranking ladder is so difficult simply due to the inconsistency present. You just never know who you'll get put with each game, and nobody can carry every game they play. If nobody you know is a CSGO player, don't fret about it. Just try and add people you enjoy playing with after games and see if they want to play again. Easily CSGO's best feature is the community that has built up around it. Personally, I've built some long-term and very genuine friendships with people I've met in a game of CS. You don't even have to talk that much if you don't want to as well. Just let your fragging ability do the talking instead. For number 6 on our list, it's time to talk about your movement. Arguably the second most important aspect of the game after raw aiming, movement is a mechanic that hundreds of thousands, if not millions of players overlook. This even includes some pro players. For example, Cajun B is notorious for his terrible movement mechanics, even admitting as such in an interview once. However, if you take a look at the best professional players, you'll see the opposite of Cajun B. Silky smooth movement and the ability to make difficult jumps and the occasional B-hop. If you work on your movement, you'll see a few key changes in your gameplay. The first of those being the obvious ones. You'll start flying around each map rapidly as you get stuck on less corners. Secondly, you'll actually notice you're flashing yourself much less, as you become much more effective at properly dodging any misthrown flashbangs. Third, and finally, you'll start to be able to make some of the more difficult jumps around the map. This third one will unfortunately only come if you practice your jumps and movement on specific maps, whilst others will be improved by playing the KZ game mode. Just bear in mind as you try and most likely struggle on improving your movement that it will be worth it. Smooth movement doesn't just make you play better, it also makes you look much better as well. Coming in at number 7, it's all about economy management. Making sure you effectively manage your in-game economy is key to ranking up. Yet time and again, I see players of all ranks force buying just way too much or full eco when their team is just full buying. I've said it before and I'll say it again, buy with your team, die with your team. What this means is that even if you think it's a mistake, you should always buy in accordance with the rest of your team. This ensures the highest chance of winning both the current and future rounds and will keep the team economy more unified. Try to always make sure you communicate with your team about what's being purchased in the upcoming round. Finally, we've got a short but sweet one. This is easily the most simple mistake that you can easily fix, and it's focused entirely on making sure that you put in the hours to grind out the training enough. This video won't mean anything for your self-improvement if you don't train enough after watching it. Getting better at CSGO at the end of the day is a grind. Unfortunately, it's not all flashy highlight clips and aces though. You've got to put in the hours in between those to achieve what you need. Nobody who's reached any heights in CSGO has gotten there easily. We've all had to play and keep playing. If there's one thing that you take away from this video, let it be this. Just practice, practice, practice. If you really want to up your game in this regard, make your practice not only regular, but consistent. This is not just a key to CS, but a key to everything that you do. Whilst there are countless tips to help you improve quickly, at the end of the day, nothing can be substituted in for putting in the hours on the training maps and the like. Well guys, that is all wrapped up for today's video. I hope you had a good time watching, and we here at ProGuides definitely had a blast making it. If you did enjoy the video, why not give it a thumbs up and maybe even hit that subscribe button for even more fantastic content? If you did, why not leave the video a thumbs up and maybe even consider hitting that subscribe button for some even more fantastic content? Also, make sure that you remember to answer our question of the day down in the comment section below. And as always, make sure you go to ProGuides.com if you want the full ProGuides and coaching experience, with masterclasses on everything that you can think of, including even one by Simple himself. If you're finally ready to improve, you can even hire your own personal coach for a session. So what's all the waiting about? Boost your game today.